Hey Guitar Champion, what's going on? Justin Hombach here, back from my practice cave, and welcome to today's video where we're going to take a deeper look into what crazy shit you can do out of one simple pentatonic. This video could be interesting for beginners, intermediate players and even experts, so stay tuned after the intro and see you in the video. Cheers! The pentatonic. Basic, simple, 5 notes, where I would say 5 most of the important notes that we learned as guitar players, because there's always kind of a turning point when you're learning your first pentatonic scale and noodling around with it and feeling like a pro. But there's also a point in every, I would say, life of a guitar player where the pentatonic is kind of boring and you are discovering other scales and other cool ways to play guitar. And this is pretty awesome, of course, but there's always so much stuff hidden in the pentatonic. And therefore I made this little video to show you 5 levels of what you can do out of different, say, approaches of pentatonic playing. This video is also pretty special for you, because this video is interesting for intermediate player, for beginners or even for experts. Because it's always good to know and it's always good to analyze, okay, well, which level I am at. Which level is my level right now at the time? What can I do? What am I capable to do with the pentatonic? And why is this important? Why do I think this is important? When you have a deeper analysis of which level you are, it's easier for you to progress and to know where do I have to work on, what do I need to practice and stuff like this. And like I said, even for expert, this could be really interesting to go maybe back to a lower level, maybe back to level 1 and to check out some new cool ideas or what you can do out of there. Maybe there's some stuff to practice in there. That's always stuff to practice, even for me, especially for me. And this is also pretty good for you when you want to, I would say, get a teacher or taking some lessons from a few guitar players and stuff like this, which I always recommend. I recommend this over all the internet kind of stuff. Go and get a guitar teacher, and then it's good to know, okay, I can do this and that with a pentatonic, and therefore the teacher always know where to start off with your skills. So, and therefore I made this little video. But before we're going into the deeper lesson where I'm going to explain every kind of level, and yes, there are of course more levels and more stuff you can do with the pentatonics, it's not only those 5 levels, but I explain my approach to every level. Before we're going to the lesson, we're of course going to the shoutout section, my section in my time where I can reply and answer some comments, 2 comments of my community. So let's start with the shoutout section. Here we go with comment number 1. Alright, the first comment is from my altitudes lesson, my Jason Becker lesson, and it's from Omar Zamudio, and he's saying, "Muchas gracias, amigo. I own you some tacos and some tequila. Gracias." I always love those comments. It always cheer me up when I'm reading them. And yeah, when you maybe have the opportunity to meet me in person, grab some tacos and some tequilas. Of course, let's have a fun time. Alright, let's go to comment number 2. Comment number 2 is from a YouTuber called Chris Pay, and he's just simply asking me what guitar is that. This was from my top 3 Jason Richardson speed picking licks, and this was an Ibanez Saber, but I can make this simple, make this easy here. I play Ibanez, I'm endorsed by Ibanez, and I'm happily endorsed by my Ibanez, and I'm happily an Ibanez artist, so can't have enough of my Ibanez guitars. Go check out and grab some Ibanez guitars, of course. Alright, so much for the shoutout section. If you like this little video and if you want to support me, feel free to subscribe to my channel or leave a like. And I would say, without further ado, let's go right into the lesson. Alright, you are in level number 1 when you are mastering the first position. Most guitar players are playing this position or learning this position first in A minor. This really good old first position. But you can do a lot with this position, and you can do a lot with playing simple 1 position. And this is a little tip for the more intermediate and the expert players. Try to limit yourself and you will get some pretty cool new ideas. It was really interesting when I wrote this solo, or the example in the beginning, to wrote 4 bars with only this position. Therefore I came up with some pretty cool melodies and some pretty interesting phrasing kind of stuff, because I usually tend to go to the next position and play all positions, but it's really interesting to limit yourself. So I recommend this to everybody, to limit yourself and just only try out to play only the first position or another position, but to stick to one position. And the main thing that I'm using here is kind of more melodic kind of playing, not too fancy, not too flashy. And herefore I would say, or herefore I would recommend every beginner try to check out where the root note or where the important notes of the A minor chord, when A minor is the root note, are. And the important notes of an A minor chord are the root, the third and the fifth. So try to check out where in the pentatonic is your root, your fourth, your third and your fifth. And try to create melodies that target those kind of guide notes, and you always will get a pretty cool melody out of it. Alright, let's go to the next level. Level number 2 you are when you are using all the pentatonics. So you have not only learned one pentatonic, you've learned all of the 5 pentatonic fingerings. And with this ability you can do a lot of cool stuff. You can do some runs. Or you can do some interesting intervallic skipping stuff. Or like I did. That slide is always a bit tricky. So okay, you can use every note from the pentatonic of your fret, and you have so much ability to go from low like this to high like this, and this is pretty awesome. But when you want to learn all positions, I would also recommend try to stick to one position, get one position done, try to limit yourself to one position, then move on to the next position. So take your time by learning all the 5 pentatonic positions. When you have that, you can do some horizontal kind of ideas. I have this one idea in the solo which goes like. Alright, this is level number 2, the ultimate power of all the 5 pentatonic positions. Level number 3 is spicing it up with phrasing. What I mean with phrasing is all kind of techniques that gives your melody a little bit so-called soul and life. Like for example bendings, slides, and stuff like that, vibrato, and stuff like that. Especially for bendings, it's also pretty important to practice this in the pentatonic concept or context, in the pentatonic context. For example, to know from which note you want to bend to the next note and how much do you need to bend. Do you need to bend a full step or maybe 1.5 full step? 1/2 note bend will not happen in the pentatonic because we don't have half note steps in the pentatonic. So always have full tone or maybe even 1.5. So try to practice those. And there are so many different varieties what you can do out of bendings. You can do fast bendings, you can do slow, and so much. It's a complete world around bendings. So practice your phrasing and practice it alongside with the pentatonic to be in level number 3. Level number 4, we are getting a little bit out of the pentatonic and spicing a little bit up, or getting, I would say, cooler with the so-called blue notes. And the 2 main blue notes that I'm using here is one the flat 5 and one is the flat 9. The flat 9 is more like played from Stevie Ray Vaughan, and there's a pretty cool lesson about this flat 9, an older video. I don't know if he's really happy that I'm going to promote this video, but a cool lesson from my friend Michael Wagner, a really awesome blues guitar player, German blues guitar player. And he made a lesson about this flat 9 and how Stevie Ray Vaughan is using it. And this really shaped my playing of blue note playing, or being cooler with the blue note. So I recommend everybody to check out every blue note in every position. Where's the flat 5, where's the flat 9, stuff like this. Maybe you can also add the major third to get this really typical bluesy kind of phrase. And yeah, in level number 4 you will spice everything up with some pretty cool blue notes. Alright, level number 5 is maybe a little bit of a bigger step from level number 4 is to shred things up. So you can shred with the pentatonic. Most of guitar players are going to shred with a normal scale, with 3-note per string scale, and this is totally fine. I love to do this as well. But you can also shred a lot with the pentatonic, and there's some pretty cool ideas. For example, the so-called 3-on-3 pentatonic, which means you're dividing, for example, the first position up into playing 3 notes on one string and 1 note on the next string. And with this idea in mind, you can sweep it pretty cool. You can use economy picking like Frank and Barley. This is pretty awesome. You can do the stretch pentatonic with string scapping, like, and we'll combine with tabbing. And there are a lot of stuff to discover there. You can do some pretty cool rhythmical based hammer on and pull off kind of ideas, like I did in the solo, like this, for example. How does it go? And I do some stretch shredding. Getting a pretty cool melodic kind of vibe. I really like this idea because it's all pentatonic but pretty stretchy, and because of this kind of stretchy intervallic idea, we have some pretty cool interesting melody inside of this idea. And of course you can do some fast picking like Paul Gilbert is doing with Racer X and Bulldog Dog, what it's called, I don't know what's called, but that's pretty cool. Not Racer X, sorry, Mr. Big song, and where he is shredding all of the pentatonic with a stretch kind of pentatonic. I did this as well here. Like this, for example. So you can see there are a lot of ways how you can shred with the pentatonic. You can add the blue notes into these kind of shredding ideas. So there's a lot to discover when you're going into the full shred mode. So I highly recommend everybody to check out some shredding, some technical ideas, some speedy ideas. Combined with the pentatonic, you will get some pretty interesting cool sounds out of this. So those are my 5 levels. As I've said, there are a lot of more, of course. The 5 levels how I would see the pentatonic. What are your 5 levels of the pentatonic, and would you like to see more of this kind of format and concept here? Then write it in the comments, and also write something in the comments so you get shout outed next time in my shout out section. Alright, I wish you a really good time so far. Stay progress. Cheers. Bye.